But if I'm stuck in this cycle of reactivity, I'm not really hearing her. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you exactly what a trigger is, how to spot your triggers, why it's important for you to understand the root cause and the patterns behind your triggers, and then I'll give you a really simple 5-step model to help you break those triggers down and stop the cycle of reactivity. So first things first, we've got to actually take a look at what a trigger actually is. So let's look at this. All right, so my definition of a trigger is that it is a disproportionate emotional response to something happening in the present moment. Now, the reason that is disproportionate is because it is often linked to some kind of past pain, unmet needs, or unprocessed experience. Meaning that even though it's happening in this moment, it's activating all of this. There's deeper layers beneath the surface. And so something small can happen, and we'll take a look at this in a moment. Something small can be said that seems a little bit maybe irrelevant to the emotional response or disproportionate. Someone says something small, and there's this big evocation, this big activation of emotion. And maybe you want to yell, scream, shut down, walk away, become angry or avoidant. Whatever is happening here, it seems to be that it's not actually relative to what has been said or what has been done. It's disproportionate. And this is the reason why, because it's linked to something else that's beneath the surface. And so part of this work requires us to take a look at those things that are laying beneath the surface that maybe we've been avoiding. Maybe there's some past pain there from childhood or from a previous relationship or from something that somebody else said, and we've actually not wanted to go into that. So we've been kind of tiptoeing around, pretending that it's okay, trying to bury it, build the layers over the top, and then one little thing happens and this volcano erupts and it explodes, right? And so part of this work requires us to actually take a look at the past pain, the unmet needs, and or the unprocessed experience that is yet to be faced, so that when these things are said or done, they don't activate all of this with it. Hopefully that's making sense so far. Now, what are we going to do about this? Check this out. So now you understand what a trigger is. Let's take a look at the truth model, which is a framework that I developed to help my clients understand and process their triggers in real time. Rather than waiting a week or 2 weeks in between calls, I wanted to give them something that they could use in the moment to understand the patterns that were kind of playing out, and then give them the tools and awareness to create a new set of patterns and break the cycle of reactivity. All right. So the truth model, it's an acronym for trigger, reaction, understanding, true need, and healing. Okay, I'm going to explain what each of these is, and then I'm going to give you an example on the side here. Bear in mind, the truth model can be applied to any trigger. This is just one example, but you can use it wherever you need. So trigger. First thing we've got to do is just kind of write down what is the thing, what is the moment, the experience, the words, what happened that created the trigger in me. Pretty simple, right? But a lot of us don't actually sit to reflect on why it is that we've had these big emotional reactions. So this in and of itself, this process, it's deeply needed and it's deeply healing for all of us. All right, here's an example, one that a lot of men that I know deal with quite frequently, and one that I have a personal kind of relationship with, because this is something that I've struggled with for a very long time in my business. My partner says I'm never present and I'm always distracted. Again, this is really common for a lot of men. Maybe you've heard this one yourself. What happens here is these words create an emotional reaction in me. Okay? So I hear this, and then I start to try to defend myself, justify all the ways that I have been present. I argue or deny what she's saying. I get angry. I try to avoid the conversation altogether, or I shut down. All of these things can happen all at once or individually. Either way, it's quite a big emotional reaction to something that could have otherwise just simply been words, right? Hey, I've noticed you're never present. You seem like you're always distracted. Boom, a big emotional reaction comes in here. So what's actually happening when this comes up? Now, if you're following along at home, what you want to do here is write down the thing that's triggered you and then write down the reaction that you had to that. And again, this might resonate for you. Maybe you got sad. Maybe you wanted to storm off and just kind of disappear. Whatever it is for you, you got to write that down and start to get clear on the emotional reaction and what happened. From here, we really want to be able to understand what is going on. What's happening here? What's happening beneath the surface? So I take a look here. Well, I'm under a lot of pressure at work. There's a lot of stress in my life right now. And there's a fear of failure, right? This is just one example, but there's a fear of failure. My business isn't going the way that I want. Work is stressful. I'm not making the money that I want. So I have this fear of failure that what I'm doing is not enough. That even though I'm trying my hardest, I don't know what to do or how to cope. So these are two examples as to why we could actually be distracted. And then here, I have a deep underlying belief of not being good enough through childhood conditioning and the way that I was brought up. Maybe I had to perform for love. Maybe I had a parent that abandoned me as a child. Maybe something happened where I was scolded from a teacher and told that what I was doing wasn't enough. Whatever it is, for a lot of us, there's some kind of underlying past pain experience that could be being activated here. Now, in this example, I have an underlying belief of I'm not good enough. So when my partner says, hey, you're never present and you're distracted, I'm already stressed from work. I already have this fear of failure. And now it's touching on my core wound from childhood. I'm not enough. And what I do in the world is not enough. And even though I'm really trying, I still feel like I'm not enough. So now you see that it's not just these words that she's saying that are creating this reaction. It's actually coming from here up as well. All of this pressure that's building from work, this fear of failure, and this not feeling good enough from childhood, it's now starting to come up. And when we haven't processed the emotion around these experiences, that's typically the emotion that you'll see here. Where if I felt like as a child I wasn't good enough, but I didn't have the ability to be able to express how much that hurt me, this is what will come out as an adult. These behaviors will start to come up here. And oftentimes when we're triggered, we'll revert to the age at which we were, for lack of a better term, wounded, or at the time that need wasn't met, or the time that the pain occurred, or the time that the experience happened that we're still yet to process. So if I developed this belief when I was 7, then what's happening when this is being activated through these words is I kind of become a bit of a 7-year-old. And rather than responding appropriately from my 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old brain, I revert to the 7-year-old me. And that's when this big emotional reaction comes out. And then that's when I maybe stomp or yell or scream or fight or argue or defend, because I actually don't have the access to my other more mature reasoning faculties. So now we understand what's going on here. We want to take a look at what did I truly need in that situation? What was it that I actually really needed? Okay, well, maybe I wanted to be acknowledged. There's a G missing there, that's okay. I'm human. So I wanted to be acknowledged, understood, and recognized for all the times that I have been doing things right, for the amount of work stress that I'm under. I wanted to be met, to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be recognized. And so because I'm hearing this, I'm not feeling any of this is being met. So what do I need to do in order to heal from this? Okay, healing. The first thing I need to do, take a breath. It's very simple, but it can be the difference between reacting and responding. If I take a moment to just pause, if I ever hear this again, if this comes up, what am I going to do? I'm going to take a breath. What that's going to do is it's going to help to stop this cycle of reactivity. Rather than going straight to reaction, I can pause and respond appropriately. Okay, cool. What else can I do? Share and connect. My partner might not actually know what it is that I've been going through. So rather than creating this kind of disconnect and this fracture, because I've taken a breath, I'm not actually reactive, I get to share. Hey, beautiful. I would love to explain to you right now what's been coming up for me. And maybe you haven't been aware of this, but as of late, I've been under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure at work. I have this fear of failing. It's been quite a lot, and I felt this pressure. So maybe there's actually some acknowledgement to yourself and to your partner of the situation that's been playing out. And you're getting to now share and connect from this place. What can you do from here? Well, find moments to connect with self and partner. All right, so in this particular example, what's going to be really, really powerful here is two things. One, if I share what is happening here to my partner, she gets a moment to actually understand, acknowledge, and recognize what I've been going through, which is my true need, right? So if she's able to understand what I'm going through, she can give me some of this. That in and of itself is quite healing. If she's just able to meet me and say, oh wow, I wasn't sure, I didn't understand, I wasn't aware that that's what you were experiencing, then she can love me up through that. The second part of this, and this part is really, really important, is that I've got to be able to meet that in myself, okay? Because if I have this core underlying belief that whatever I do is not enough, that nothing I do is good enough, no matter how much of this I get from my partner, it will be trying to fill a vacuum and a hole that she can't actually fill. And I might be going to her again and again and again asking for these things, but if I'm not actually giving that to myself, the acknowledgement, understanding, and recognition from her, it'll fall flat. So she does get to play a massive part in my healing. She can do all of this, and I need to be able to do it myself so that I'm not putting all my healing on her. Now, this is what I say when a lot of the time these are rooted in past pain and unmet needs. Because if this was simply a present moment experience and there was no underlying core belief of not being good enough playing out, then maybe all I needed was actually just some acknowledgement and understanding in the moment. Maybe she hasn't actually taken notice of what I've been doing, right? But again, if it's rooted in deeper layers and it's touching on something that's yet to be processed, she can help, but I've also got to do the work myself. Now, with this newfound awareness, I get to find moments to connect with myself and with my partner. She's told me this, and if I've taken a moment to break the cycle of reactivity, well, then I can say, okay, cool, well, how can I meet you in that, right? But if I'm stuck in this cycle of reactivity, I'm not really hearing her. I'm not actually able to meet her request or her kind of invitation, which realistically, when a woman says this is her invitation into connection, into love. Hey, you're not present at the moment and you're distracted, right? How she says that will determine quite often how a man responds to that. But if we're in our wound and if we're distracted and detracted already, that can really hit a part of us that it doesn't need to. So if we take that moment to take a breath, we get to meet this for what it is, an invitation into more contact and an invitation into more connection. This can actually bring us closer if I'm able to be with the truth of the moment. And I can go down to here. Well, now take a breath, share, connect, find moments to connect with myself and my partner. This brings us closer together rather than when I go this way and then I get triggered and become reactive and avoidant and shut down, it drives a wedge in between us. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we get to understand our triggers, they become a kind of a gateway into deeper love, into deeper connection, into deeper union. When we don't, they just become kind of divisive wedges that drive us further apart. So if I've done all of this, and here's the thing, you might not be able to do this in the moment. What I recommend when you do this is that you do it as close to the trigger as possible, right? So what that may look like in real time or in real life scenario is that something comes up, you get triggered, you do all of these things, you walk away, you're pissed off, and it creates this moment of disconnection. Maybe it takes you a couple of hours or even a couple of days for you to actually come back into your awareness after seeing something like this video, and you go, you know what? The way that I responded was a little bit disproportionate. the way that I behaved actually didn't seem relevant or kind of correlative to the situation at hand. So I want to do something about that. That's when you break out this model and you start to work on it. Now, to begin with, it might be a couple of days before you actually have the capacity to sit with this. Hopefully, you can get it down from a couple of days down to a couple of hours, right? And then over time, hopefully you can get it down from a couple of hours to kind of instantly, where this happens, maybe this still plays out and you have that moment of disconnection and you walk away and you shut down, and then instantly you go, you know what? What could I have done differently in that situation? What happened in that I could do differently? And then you break this down and then you get a chance to repair it, right? As soon as possible before the relationship drifts further and further apart. Eventually what happens when you start to get really good at this is once you've done this a few times, the trigger might happen or the words might happen that would have created the trigger. But instead of going to this, you get to break the cycle because you've done this a few times. You take a breath, you break this, and the trigger never plays out. It just becomes words and again, an invitation. This, for a lot of men, does take a bit of practice, a bit of getting used to, but each time you break this down, you gain awareness into your patterns and into your behaviors. And the more awareness that you have into your patterns and into your behavior, the more command you really do get over how you respond and how you react into the world. What I've seen and how I've used this in my own life and in the men that have taken this and applied it to theirs is this truth model has a massive ability to change literally how you respond and how you react in situations with, again, your partner, your family, your children, people at work. And it gives you much more choice and agency over the way that you show up. So my invitation for you is, if you would like to drop in the comments how this has landed for you. If you've used this and you're coming back to this video, share with us. How did it go for you? What did you learn about yourself, about the situation? Where could you apply this? If you have any questions about this, please reach out. I'd love to answer them for you. And I hope sincerely that this helps you to deepen your relationships to yourself and to those around you. This is Benny from A Better Man, tuning out. Talk to you soon.